Hi, everyone.
Hi.
So, we're back with a new conversation for you guys. Eileen, what are we going to talk about?
So we're here, Conversation 40, and we're talking about law enforcement.
We're going to be talking about our law enforcement personnel. So, we just wanted to share some stories in light of all the stuff that has been happening, with police brutality and the new, like all the recent officer involved shootings, things like that. We wanted to kind of like talk a little bit about it. So, what do you think?
Yeah, I feel like,
I think it's important, right?
yeah, it's important.
Okay. Do you want to start? Or do you want me to talk about it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so we're going to talk about, I don't know if you guys remember, but in March of 1991, there was a famous police brutality case that happened with Rodney King. So I don't know if you guys remember, there was a film. Somebody was filming while he was stopped by law enforcement and pulled out of his vehicle, and he was beaten by police officers for 15 minutes. And all of this was recorded and it was shared all through the news outlets. And I don't know if there was social media back then. It was mostly the news, right?
Yeah.
That they were talking about, showing what had happened. So that beating resulted in skull fractures, broken bones, and teeth. And he had permanent brain damage from the assault that he sustained by these police officers. So after this, I guess there was a trial with the police officers to figure out whether they were at the, doing this without reason or without sufficient reason. So they ended up, they ended up pretty much acquitting the officers of any, whatever, like any punishment or any wrongdoing. So this caused the LA riots. I don't know. I was young at the time. I don't really remember much. You weren't even born.
Yeah.
But so the riots, people just were upset and they were angry at the fact that that they had beaten him up, and it was obvious that it was police brutality. They were just attacking him, and it was like four men. It wasn't just the one, and there was other police officers standing around just watching, not doing anything. So this caused people to become angry, and they're like, well, if they can do that, then we can do this, right?
Yes, caused massive chaos.
Yeah. So these riots resulted in 50 deaths. 10 people were killed by LAPD, and more than 2,000 people were injured. And this resulted in curfews, no work, no school for kids. And there was over, I want to say, 1,000 buildings that were damaged. So, I mean, what do you think?
It was pretty intense.
Like, there's pictures of him, how he was beat up, and like, it was just crazy. And even the video, people can go back and look at the video, and it's just like, wow, like, I can't believe they would do that. Why can't they just arrest the person? I mean, don't they give them tasers, and don't they give them like other stuff for them to like kind of like apprehend the person? So I don't know. It was crazy. So that happened back in 1991. Do you want to talk about this one?
Sure.
Okay, Eileen's going to talk about one of the most recent cases that also is kind of similar, but this one was more tragic. So go ahead, Eileen.
So, this was last year. And
You want to be a little bit louder, my
it
friend?
was pretty controversial. Controversial. So George Floyd was arrested on May 2020, so that was last year, for a counterfeit $20 bill. A police officer knelt on his neck for 9 minutes and 29 seconds while complaining about not being able to breathe. So the death was ruled a homicide. The officer was convicted of second-degree unintentional murder, third-degree murder, second-degree manslaughter. And protests happened May 26. 500,000 people joined over 550 places across the country. So, yeah, it was a global situation, right?
People were pissed because so with George Floyd, there was people recording.
Yes.
There was people telling the officer to get off of his neck because he couldn't breathe, and he was screaming it
and he kept
over and
saying,
over. And it was just, I don't know, I got pissed when I saw it, like, because I'm like, dude, can't you just taser him and put him in, like, really?
Yeah.
Or do something less, like, I mean, I don't know.
I mean, he was obviously telling him, but he didn't.
Yeah, and all of this over a $20 bill.
Yeah,
that was counterfeit. So I was, because you can look at the videos. There's the police officer cameras were released, so you can tell that they were saying he was resisting arrest. Okay, so he wasn't being violent. He was just saying, "Hey, I have claustrophobia. I don't want to be in there." Like, he was just kind of talking and kind of scared. And so this officer, he's like, "Okay, I'm gonna restrain him," right? Puts him on the floor and then kneels on his neck, and you can see the pictures, you can see the videos that he's like telling him, "I can't breathe." Why can you just tell him, "Hey, sit right there," well, backup shows up, or I don't know.
I mean, it just seemed too intense for the cause, the reasons for his arrest.
Yeah,
I just feel like why didn't he just arrest him quickly? If that was what he was going to do, why did he take his time having him in this position
for 9 minutes?
And especially on his neck too. Like, why didn't he, like,
maybe on his back?
Yeah, like on his back. Like, why did it have to be his neck?
That's weird. Like, I don't know.
And then even though he heard him tell him that he couldn't breathe, why did he not do something about it?
Yeah. And the other thing too was, there was how many other cops? 3 other cops?
Yeah.
So there was 3 other police officers that were standing there, and they wouldn't do anything, and it's like, I mean, is it a matter of like seniority, like who's been there the longest so he knows I can't say nothing? Or
But I feel like, there was bystanders who filmed it. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
So it was visible to all public.
And
how the
it
situation
also
unfolded.
resulted in like the riots. People were angry, and the outcome of this situation was that he was convicted. That police officer was convicted of what do we say? So 3rd-degree murder, 2nd-degree manslaughter, or wait,
and
2nd-degree
unintentional murder. 3rd-degree murder.
So he was actually convicted. They haven't said what his sentence is going to be, but there's, I mean.
I just, I feel there was numerous other ways to handle a situation than how it was handled.
That's true. And he wasn't being aggressive. He didn't have a deadly weapon. He was just kind of like resisting, resisting. Like, he didn't want to go in the cop car, but he wasn't being like, I don't know. It was very like, I don't know. Sad. It was a sad situation. It's almost gonna be a year since it happened. So
very sad. Unfortunate.
I mean, what do you think about this? What do you think about, like, these scenarios or these situations to you, does that tell you, hey, maybe police officers aren't good people?
I feel it's a 50-50 situation. There may be officers who are like that, but that doesn't necessarily mean all officers are like that.
Right.
Maybe there is
Yeah.
good officers out there.
It's kind of like saying, like, I see it as, okay, you know how there's people that cheat, right? I mean, it's kind of like not the same,
Yeah.
but it's just to prove a like my
Your
point.
analogy?
Yeah. So there's people that cheat, or one person that you were with cheated on you. Does that mean that all the other ones are going to be the same? Right?
You got to kind of give people the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, and so I disagree with what they did. I disagree with the police brutality and the over, abuse of power,
Yeah.
but I do believe that there's good officers out there that do want to make a difference, that do want to help out, and that do stand by their code of ethics. And I mean, I definitely feel safer with police officers around. I mean,
Yeah.
if I go somewhere and we see a police officer, I always tell my kids, like, oh, they're superheroes. They keep us safe from
Yeah.
evil people or whatever. So, I mean, I feel like it's important to have, police officers, and not only that, it's just sad that
some abuse their power. Well, that's very unfortunate.
Yeah, and
it is,
and it kind of taints them a little bit,
Yeah.
And so, but not only that, like, I've seen videos and I've seen a lot of police officers doing good out there in the community. The other day I was scrolling through Facebook and I saw police officers buying this little kid a tractor, and they used funding from like their little,
Aww.
And they brought the little tractor and they showed it to the little kid and they're like, oh, we brought you something. And they even got him little police stickers and like,
Aww.
It was super cute.
Sometimes they do events, right? I'm not sure what it's called.
The Halloween event that they do.
Like trunk or treat.
The safe trunk or treat.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, I feel like police officers are risking their lives every day. I mean, like, just, you want to talk about that story? You want me to talk about it?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So, like, in our city or our town where we live in, the other day there was a police officer that stopped a vehicle and ended up finding out that it was a stolen vehicle. And so when the police officer told the man, hey, get out, like, he was going to arrest him, the guy took off, right? And he had his canine officer with him. So it was him and his canine officer. So they chased the man, they cornered him, and 5-year-old Django, canine officer, kind of was, going towards him, and then the suspect pulled a gun and shot him. And so the officer then pulled his gun and then he kind of shot the suspect, trying to protect himself and his canine officer. So, which the suspect died on the scene, and then Django was taken to an animal emergency hospital where he later died. So that's another like example that they're risking their lives every day to keep the city safe, like, so I agree. Like, it doesn't necessarily mean that all of them are going to be bad or they're all going to abuse, like we said, their power, or that they're going to use, excessive force. And then maybe they've been doing it so long that they're just tired of it.
Yeah.
And they're just like,
and maybe there's like an indifference in them.
That's true.
But yeah, it's just unfortunate.
And they also, like, not only do, like, a lot of officers die on the job, on the line, on the right. We saw
a numerous, amount of officers who have passed,
and the majority, like a lot of them, either get killed by like
by some type of vehicle accident.
Yeah, like vehicles, accidents,
gunfire.
The like, a lot of them passed away from COVID. Like, that's crazy. So yeah, I mean, what do you think?
I just, it's unfortunate.
Maybe I think I do agree that, sometimes after doing something for so long, you lose the reasoning behind why you're doing it, or you start to lose that
And
passion and that, like,
or maybe sometimes it just becomes instinctual, like if they feel something's a threat to, like it's their instinct to, like,
mhm.
whatever they're trained to do. And if
Yeah.
it's like, it's unfortunate if it's for the wrong reasons,
Yeah, because there was another video recently. I can't remember the let me see if I can find it, but there was an officer that shot a girl. She was 16. Um, let me see, because her name was kind of difficult for me to pronounce.
Yeah, but there are unfortunate situations.
So her name was Micaiah Bryant, which she was killed. She was shot by an officer because it was because you can see the video too, and it was also like recent that she was like they called the police. They called the police 911 to tell them that there was a girl that was trying to fight other girls and she had a knife. So when he shows up, you can see on his body cam that he's walking towards them and this girl's like walking out, like fighting with this other girl, pushes her and then turns around and like goes at another girl, and you can clearly see the knife, like she grabbed her and she was going to stab her.
Wow.
And the police officer said, stop, 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 get down, and she wouldn't listen, and so he shot her.
Wow.
And she died on the scene, and like it was crazy. I saw the videos and I was like,
yeah.
It's very unfortunate because she was 16 years old. She was just a kid too, but like,
yeah, I mean, I just feel that
his instinct, to try to protect whoever was around, because there was somebody with a deadly weapon.
Yeah, based on their training. And
Right.
yeah, I feel like it's unfortunate that, there's abuse of power, but there's also a lot of officers who die
On the line of duty.
doing the right thing and trying to, protect the community. And that's like that movie. I don't know what that movie was called, but that movie was pretty sad. The one with Jake Gyllenhaal and Michael Pena. There were officers, and I believe they ended up getting
Was it the 9/11 one?
No, it was like I don't even remember what it's called.
I don't know.
Watch or something. End of Watch or something.
End of Watch?
I don't recall, but
let me see.
Yeah, it was that was a pretty sad movie
and well, they died? They both died?
Yeah, I believe they did end up both passing. But yeah, there is officers End of Watch. Wow. Yeah, there is officers who do risk their lives.
They do.
So,
and like I said, like for me personally, I'm not one to like say, okay, just because one of them is like that, all of them are going to be evil. No, like they're out there trying to save it, trying to keep the community safe, trying to, help out as much as they can. And so every time I see a police officer, I'm like, hey, unless they're, going to stop me for a traffic ticket, I feel like, that's cool that they're here and they actually want to take that up as a career, because it's not easy.
It's not. It's a tough job.
You have to arrest people and the crazies, and
you need to have courage and you need to be brave.
Yeah, that's true.
And
there's rigorous training.
Yes.
Like, so you got to be al 100.
Yeah, you got to be fit.
So it's it's crazy. So I mean, if you see a local police officer, man, thank them for
for their service,
and for helping and for trying to keep our community safe. And Eileen wants to talk. She's going to share the code of ethics for the police officer. So this is what their oath, is it?
I believe so.
So Eileen, go ahead.
So law enforcement code of ethics. As a law enforcement officer, my fundamental duty is to serve the community, to safeguard lives and property, to protect the innocent against deception, the weak against oppression or intimidation, and the peaceful against violence or disorder, and to respect the constitutional rights of all to liberty, equality, and justice. I will keep my private life unsullied as an example to all and will behave in a manner that does not bring discredit to me or to my agency. I will maintain courageous calm in the face of danger, scorn, or ridicule, develop self restraint, and be constantly mindful of the welfare of others. Honest in thought and deed, both in my personal and official life, I will be exemplary in obeying the law and the regulations of my department. Whatever I see or hear of a confidential nature or that is confided to me in my official capacity will be kept ever secret unless revelation is necessary in the performance of my duty. I will never act officiously or permit personal feelings, prejudice, political beliefs, aspirations, animosities, or friendships to influence my decisions. With no compromise for crime and with relentless prosecution of criminals, I will enforce the law courteously and appropriately without fear or favor, malice or ill will, never employing unnecessary force or violence, and never accepting gratuities. I recognize the badge of my office as a symbol of public faith, and I accept it as a public trust to be held as long as I am true to the ethics of police service. I will never engage in acts of corruption or bribery, nor will I condone such acts by other police officers. I will cooperate with all legally authorized agencies and their representatives in the pursuit of justice. I know that that I alone am responsible for my own standard of professional performance and will take every reasonable opportunity to enhance and improve my level of knowledge and competence. I will constantly strive to achieve these objectives and ideals, dedicating myself before God to be to my chosen profession, law enforcement.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it clearly, to some degree, these officers broke that code of ethics, so, but man, that's awesome.
Yeah, which is unfortunate, but I mean, that's cool for the ones who do follow through.
Yeah. So thanks for your service, guys.
Mm-hmm.
We appreciate, our local police officers and, what they do for our community. We've, taken the kids. Remember, we've taken them to trunk or treating. They get to meet officers. They get to meet the SWAT teams. They get to meet the negotiation department.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool, dude.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So it's nice to have people like that out there to help us and protect us and, be there when we're in danger. So yeah. Is there anything else you want to say?
No, I think I've covered it.
Okay. Well, so I hope you guys enjoy this conversation. If you guys have any input, any things you want to share, any, I don't know, maybe bad experiences you've had or good experiences, share it with us. We'd want to know.
Yeah.
But thank you guys, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Okay.